Good morning. Welcome to another Theory Thursday. Today we're going over a deceivingly simple concept. It might look hard to some, it might look easy, but it actually is hard to others. Today we're talking about time signatures. How do you read them? What do they mean? And how do they correlate to note values? Right? Okay, that's what we're going over today. I got my Timex Weekender on with the black band. And I got my black tie on today. Simple and clean, black and white. So, as always, like and subscribe if you've been enjoying them. I'm going to keep making them because I love it. And just if you want to stay in the loop, you can hit that little bell icon. And of course, when the book's out, you all know that. The beginner guitar for the aspiring musician. So, without further ado, time signatures. What the heck are they? Let's go. Welcome back to the whiteboard. Today we are looking at time signatures. How do you read them? What are they? How do you use them? What do they even mean? I'm hoping this will be a quick lesson today because it's not too hard to understand. I want to get the grasp on it. So first of all, over here, I'm going to write out the common notes and note values we have, okay? It's a whole note. And I'm just going to fast forward and this will all be here already, okay? Go. See you on the other side. Okay, we're back. So, chain of command here. At the top of the pyramid, we have what we would call a whole note. Now, one of these gets 4 beats. Okay, there are situations where maybe that changes, but for all the music we're going to look at, and I'd say 99% of music, that's going to get 4 beats, sometimes 3 beats. There are very specific situations where it gets, other than that, we're not even going to worry about that because it's such a tiny percentage of music, of written sheet music, where it changes. Okay? So the whole note, 4 beats. This is what you would call a half note. Now one of these gets 2 beats. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. So this gets split in half. 2 of these make up one of those, right? Simple fractions. Okay? Now what do we have down here? Quarter. Each one of these gets 1 beat. Right? 2 of these equals 1 of those. 4 of these equals 1 of those. Right? That makes sense, right? If there's 4 ones, you add them all up, you get 4. If there's 2 twos, you add them both up, you get 4. Okay? So you can see a pattern. We're just splitting in half. And it continues on. This is what you would call an eighth note. Okay? And these get half a beat. Okay? And when you're counting these, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you get down to here, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Because you can fit 2 of these into one single beat. And it continues. These are what you would call 16th notes, and each one of these gets a 4th of a beat, right? So when you get into this, it's dividing the 8th note. So we already split the counting. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So when you get down to here, it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, right? Because this is 1 beat, right? Here's your 1. Split, split. Here's your 2, split, split. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and right, and it actually continues on and continues on. You have 32nd notes, you have 64th notes, and it theoretically can go infinitely to smaller and smaller note values. Or you never see that. You can get down to 32nd and 64th notes. I have never seen anything over 64th notes. And even when I do see those, it's mostly in a theory, a close-up theorized kind of lesson, exercise kind of thing. I don't, in type of music I play anyway, yeah, I don't see too much past 16th, sometimes 32nd. Okay, now we're talking about time signatures. John, why are you talking about note values here? I'll tell you why. The most common time signature out there is 4/4. Okay? So common, in fact, sometimes you'll see it written like that. C. What does that mean? Stands for common time. Okay? So just know if you ever see a C at the beginning of your music, it means 4/4. Okay, now, the way to read this is you have this many of these notes. Okay? This many of these notes in one measure. Okay? So I'm going to put a little, these are bar lines down here. Okay? So for example, we're dealing with 4/4. If we're looking at a piece of music, that means there's 4 quarter notes in a measure, right? That means you could fit 4 quarter notes in a single measure. That also means you could fit 1 whole note in a measure. That also means you could fit 2 half notes in a measure, right? There's 4 quarter notes within a measure. And of course, if you're used to reading music, you know you mix and match and everything. You just know that you can fit 4 quarter notes. So it could look like this. Right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Could look like this. That's a rest. 1, rest, 3, 4. Right? So you can mix and match whatever you want. Okay, so that's what that is. So let's just say, what would happen if we did this? Well, let's look at our little diagram here. This many of these, right? 3 quarter notes. 3 quarter notes, right? So you can't fit another quarter note in here. It's 1, 2, 3, and then you're on to the next measure, okay? So you could fit a half note and a quarter note, right? Okay. All right, so let's get a little fancy with it. What happens when we change the bottom note? What the heck does that mean? Just look at your diagram. This many of these, right? If 4 meant quarter note, there's 4 here. What does 2 mean? Half note. 3/2 means there are 3 half notes per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? 6 beats. Now, you're inevitably going to ask this. 3 half notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Isn't that the same as 6, 4, right? 6 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's theoretically the same. There's 6 beats within the measure. But there is a difference because when you're counting, this note also decides what note gets the beat. So when I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3. Your numbers, your 1, your 2, your 3, is dependent on whatever your bottom note is here. Okay? 3, 2 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Which means this would sound like 1 and 2, 3 and. Instead of, if this was 6, 4, that would mean quarter note gets the beat. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? You'd count all the way to 6. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3 and. Okay? So that's where it starts to get complicated. This many of these, and this defines what gets the beat. Okay? Let's look at another one. Another really common one. 6, 8. Alright? What does that mean? This many, we know there's 6 notes. What are the notes though? 8. 8th note. Right? It's literally in the name. 8th. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I know what you're thinking. John. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8th notes. Isn't that the same as 3, 4? Right? Here's a quarter note. Here's a quarter note. And here's a quarter note. Right? 3 quarter notes. But you got to remember, 8th note gets the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? We're not counting to 3, we're counting to 6. And also, the rhythm of the actual notes changes. It's not 1 and 2 and 3 and. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You hear the subtle change. So just the beaming of the notes changes it, right? If these are all 8th notes, and I go like this, right? 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. That's a totally different feel than if I did this, right? You beam 3 at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Okay? So that's the difference between, so they're like fractions where you can see it's all just split. Everything is half, 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 half. And when you're looking at the actual time signature, the bottom note is a direct correlation of whatever the note is, right? So 8 is 8th. A 4 would be quarter, right? You can fit 4 quarters into a whole. A 2 would be half. You could put a 1 here. Like you could have 6 whole notes here. Okay? This could be a 16. That would be 6 16th notes. Okay? However, it's not a direct relation to math fractions in the sense of reducing fractions. So 6, 8. 6, 8 does not equal 3, 4. Just for the reasons I showed you here, right? The beaming is different, the feel of is different, and the count is different as well, okay? So that's the quick overview on time signatures. How do you read them? And note values. Why they're important to know? Because you need to be able to read time signatures. Quick recap. Top note is how many notes are in a measure. How many beats are in a measure. Second note is what gets the beat, right? How many of these? How many? What gets the beat? How many of these? Okay? As always, put your questions in the comments or put your comments in the comments. I love reading them anyway. So, and I do go over this more in my book if you do pick up, if you're interested in the theory aspect of all of it. Anyway, the beginner guitar book. So, anyway, I think that's all I got today. That's enough for today, right? So thank you. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks. Bye.